Bueno, sí.
After 3 days in Tijuana, it's time to leave. We're heading to San Diego. I'm not gonna lie, it's a relief to be back in the United States. Even though San Diego is only 20 miles from Tijuana, it is modern, beautiful, clean, and feels safe. We're on our way now to San Diego's Christ United Methodist Ministry. It's part of the Safe Harbors Network and houses children and families seeking asylum in the United States. It's very different than the shelters in Tijuana. The facilities are modern and up to date. Children are playing games on their phones. And there is a huge table of construction paper and art supplies. Kent Raisin is a volunteer for Safe Harbors Network.
We provide a safe location. They've been through a traumatic experience getting here. We are extremely overwhelmed. We've had up to 80 people staying here at this church at any one time.
He explains that the U.S. government is so unprepared for what is going on, it sends refugees from its own shelters to them.
ICE will bring individuals here, and the van will pull up. Sometimes they let us know that they're here. Other times they just open the door, people get out.
At Jewish Family Service, which is part of the San Diego Rapid Response Network, the kitchen is well stocked with food. They work with Starbucks, taking the day's leftovers.
We have the keys to 30 Starbucks, and we go out at night and we rescue food. So not only do we rescue people, we rescue food.
While this shelter is for the homeless, they say it's very similar to the migrant shelter. The feeling here is completely different than in Tijuana. There, people were afraid and hiding their faces. Here, the children and families wander the complex, relaxed and comfortable. Its CEO, Michael Hopkins, says while the refugees are safer here, it's still hard.
And there's nothing normal about their life. Many of them, they don't even know that they're in San Diego.
He says an immigration policy that makes sense would help.
There will always be individuals somewhere in the world who believe that the United States is a better place to live, that believe that the United States is a better place to raise their family. And so there will always be immigrants trying to get into this country.
So what is that solution? Now, I'm heading over to talk with Customs and Border Patrol about what they are seeing. I get to drive along the 14-mile fence with Vince Piro. He's been with CBP for almost 9 years.
All right, here we go.
It's kind of creepy leaving the Border Patrol compound.
827 Alpha 31.
Seeing it for the first time, I now understand what agents mean when they talk about the wall and the secondary wall.
In the last 3 years, we've seen over 1,700 cuts in this secondary wall. All those U-shapes and cuts and the squares, the patches, are repairs to this wall.
The secondary wall is one of the walls Trump claims he's building as new.
This one is going to be replaced. We thought it would make it harder for them to climb, but what we found out is that they would still climb up and they would just stay on top and they would rock us, throw rocks from the top when we would try to come and apprehend them. So if you see to my left right here, that's the old landing mat wall right there. That was surplus material from the Vietnam era. It was used for helicopter pilots so they can land in the rice paddies. And then over to the right of that wall is the new bollard style. If you notice, one of the main things that you can't see through that wall. With that new primary wall, you can see right through it, which gives us more safety and security. It can be a very dangerous job. I mean, just not long ago, they shot at us from the south side from Mexico. They hit the agent's vehicle. 2 shots hit, only inches away from the agent. So we deal with this on a daily basis. That's why we encourage people to actually go to the ports of entry.
Vince says more people are crossing the border lately. And while most are now women and children, that hasn't changed their interactions.
It's interesting. Just yesterday, we were over there near the trucks on the other side of the border, and it's just a whole other world. What's your experience with the children crossing over and their families? Like, do you ever see people looking through the wall?
Yes, well, I always see people looking through this area. I have encountered children in the past. I've encountered all types of people. What we do is, it's a process when they come in. We don't know who's actually coming into the country, so when they do come in, we'll apprehend them, we'll take them back to the nearest Border Patrol station, and that's when we'll run who they are, we'll run their fingerprints to see which country they came from, how many times they crossed, if they have any wants or warrants. So that process goes for everybody that comes across, not one person or somebody's different than the other.
And do they try to tell their stories and share information, or do they just kind of willingly go?
So yeah, they'll go through an interview and we'll speak to them, the reason why they're coming. Maybe they were smuggled, maybe they were trafficked. Well, we see that happen lots of the times where they're coming in with an adult that they don't even know, and they're coming in and they're going to be trafficked later on, but that's why we're here.
It was interesting to hear from the Border Patrol's point of view, but it made it clear our system is far from perfect. Our trip is almost over, and I'm wondering what has happened to Alvin, RJ, Aaliyah, and Lydia.